Throughout the history of the world, great teachers have made a lasting impact on the lives and the hearts of their students. All of us can recall a certain teacher, a very special someone who inspired us to learn and pushed us to grow and to be better. The importance of teachers in society cannot be underestimated. They take on the great responsibility of shaping minds and changing lives for the better. This program is a tribute to and for teachers and celebrates the special and often heroic role they play in the lives of students every day. This program presents some extraordinary men and women whose timeless wisdom echoes the strength, character, and passion of educators all across our district and across our great nation. This program is, in our small way, an opportunity to say thank you to those who educate, encourage, empower, and inspire the students of our world, those who take a hand, open a mind, and shape a heart. Teachers here in St. Lucie Public Schools. We are excited at this time to welcome to our celebration show Tucker Young, the awesome Teacher of the Year for Manatee Academy. Mr. Young, welcome.
Welcome.
It's a pleasure to have you here with us as we celebrate teachers and teaching here in St. Lucie County. We get excited when we have an opportunity to do that. Ms. Beauchamp, the dynamic, wonderful, proud principal at Manatee Academy, also welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
It's a pleasure to see you again and be able to celebrate you and your Teacher of the Year. So, Mr. Young, because many of our viewers want to know who these dynamic teachers are that we're celebrating, give them just a little bit about who you are, your bio.
Yeah, so this is my 4th year teaching. I originally grew up in Connecticut, moved down here in the middle of middle school, and my degree was originally in human services. Ever since I was younger, I've always known I wanted to work with kids in some capacity. And then eventually I decided to switch over to teaching, and this is my 4th year now. I teach civics, 7th grade.
And where did you get your degree from?
IRC.
IRC.
Yeah.
So now you said you moved here, so are you a product of St. Lucie Public Schools?
Partially, but
Okay.
I wouldn't say fully, no.
Okay, all right. Ms. Beauchamp, would you introduce yourself also?
Well, I am, like you said, the proud principal of Manatee Academy. This is my 10th year, actually my 11th year.
Oh, wow.
Finished a 10-year. So I love Manatee and K-8, of course. I will tell you that I am a University of Florida graduate, and then I received my 2 degrees from Florida Atlantic University, and of course I have to always tell you, Dr. Perry, that I'm a proud graduate of Fort Pierce Central High School.
You know,
we always come home, right?
We always come home. I was like, Miss Beauchamp is a graduate of Central. She's a Cobra, so I'm glad you worked that back in.
Absolutely, we never forget that.
Never forget that. So, Mr. Young, why did you choose teaching as a profession?
I think it initially started somewhere in middle school. In 6th grade, I remember I had a social studies teacher back in Connecticut before I moved down here, and she kind of sparked an interest in history and social studies, and from that point I had an inkling that could be something I wanted to do, to be able to talk about that and convey that information, teach people about that. But it didn't really catch on fully until my junior or senior year of high school, and that's when I started being a peer mentor, tutoring younger students in middle school, and that's kind of what started me on the process of working with children and in some form education. I was originally going to go to school for education, then midway through I switched over to human services. I worked in that field for a couple of years. I was still doing education in some form. My title was a parent educator, but I felt I didn't have as much of a direct connection with kids as much as I wanted to, so that led me to make the switch over to education full-time and been there since.
So what was so special about this dynamic middle school history teacher that inspired you?
It's hard to say. I only had her for half a year because I moved halfway through my 6th grade year when I had her, but even still, like, she sticks out in my mind. Just how she presented the information, it was world history at the time, just like it is here. It was so far-flung, the story, she brought them alive with how she told it, and it just kind of sparked an interest in me and carried on.
So what do you like most about teaching?
I think it goes back to what I was saying before. It's building It's a few things. It's building connections with kids and using those connections to foster passion in them for my subject and for learning, and especially with civics, because one of the great benefits of civics is something that, one, has a direct impact on them in the day-to-day, but also something that they can have a direct impact on them, with themselves. So having the ability to teach them how to be better citizens, to be more productive citizens in their community, that's something that I love doing. And to see their passion ignite and then continue on as they get an idea in their head about some problem in the community that they see, something that they want to fix, and then they actually go out to make an effort for that. They go out to want to create a petition, or to, I have a student right now who really, really wants to start a GoFundMe about a problem in the community that she notices. So to see that fire being ignited in them to carry on and give back to the community is something that I truly enjoy.
So, Ms. Beauchamp, you get to witness Mr. Young every day. Give us a peek into what his world looks like from your point of view.
Well, he used the word passionate and ignite, and those are two definite things that he brings into the classroom. I mean, he's making things relevant for students. And even though some people may say, everybody has a passion in what their subject area is, and some people might think, well, social studies, not so interesting all the time, but a real good social studies teacher makes it relevant and interesting, and that's what he does. And the fact that with civics, they do Project Citizen. So not only are they learning, but they're also considering those different projects that they can take in the community, and they compete. And Mr. Young's students last year moved up in the state level. And that's just one indicator of how he inspires his students, because they have to be inspired and ignited, and the passion's got to be there for them to get that far just in a state competition. Civics, of all things, right?
Yep. So describe him for us using 3 adjectives.
I would say intelligent, passionate, and that word dedicated.
Further explain those 3 for us.
Well, he's passionate in what he does. Not only is he a civics teacher, but he is also a co-sponsor for our student government and also our honor society. So he doesn't only work with his 7th grade students. And he's dedicated. I'll give you an example. We focus a lot on data in the school district and in each of our schools. And once, as principals, we get our school data, we have to delve into it and kind of look into how our students did, where we can improve, where we did really well in. And over the summer, Mr. Young took it upon himself to go to the DOE website and pull all of our data. And he talked about 3rd grade and he talked about 4th grade, and it was just one of those things like, wow, what a passionate, intelligent person that can take school data and tell the principal and the school administrative staff, like, look what we did really well. I think we could capitalize on this. And he does that like weekly, and it's just, that's an intelligent, dedicated to Manatee and to our school district person.
So what makes him the perfect candidate for this honor?
I think you need a teacher who can go out and deliver that message and, deliver the inspiration to have kids want to work and do better. And I think to be a positive role model for even his peers. He works very closely with his partner teacher, and they collaborate all the time. And those are just qualities in a Teacher of the Year. He was recently named St. Lucie County Social Studies Teacher of the Year, which is another accolade. Just a feather in his cap. And I think that he would be kind of modest and talking about some of those things, and that's kind of difficult sometimes to brag. But as a principal who has been in this profession for a while, when you see that rock star teacher, that's what it's all about. And I think he's definitely a good candidate for our district.
So, Mr. Young, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing education today?
There's a lot of things. I think I could go with the more obvious one of COVID and how that's had an impact on everything. Just as we were walking in, Ms. Beauchamp was speaking about just kind of how it's affecting the entire county as a whole. It's we have students who are having to quarantine, and that's not just affecting their progress now, but that impacts their progress into the future as they fall further behind. But I think another challenge more broadly is, I'm trying to think of how to say this in the right way. There are certain topics, certain things that become scary to discuss. I have a group, for instance, that, back to Project Citizen, that I emailed Ms. Beauchamp about, that really wants to do a project about human trafficking, a difficult, challenging concept that is scary for a lot of people, especially in Florida. It's the third most human trafficking cases in the country. And sometimes I feel like we want to shy away from certain topics that need to be discussed like that. And I think that becomes a detriment into the future. So I think that's another challenge on top of COVID, that there are topics that we need to be able to discuss and tackle, even if they're uncomfortable sometimes.
So your selection as the Teacher of the Year for Manatee Academy automatically makes you their spokesperson. Many visitors come and you have an opportunity to speak and sing the song and praises of education and educators as well as Manatee. What's your message?
I feel like I'm repeating myself or repeating the same concept, but I really do feel a lot strongly about passion is what drives me, and I think it's what drives students. Not necessarily always in pure academic things, passionate about math, but I think something that we all need to foster, and what I try to foster in my students, not just about civics, but in general, is to be passionate about something, to have drive towards something, to want to accomplish something. And I think that's something that everyone, that we try to build in our students at Manatee, is we try to identify and take what they're good at, take what they're interested in, and use that to connect to education, to stoke that fire like I mentioned before, and help them become the best version of themselves. Because I think if they have a passion, even if it's academic, if it's sports related, if it's something productive, that reverberates outwards and affects every aspect of their life, their personal lives, their academic lives. And I think that's something that we try to do at Manatee. We connect with our students, and we use those connections to help them grow as people.
I was going to say
Go ahead,
something
Ms.
real
Beauchamp.
quick, just to kind of chime into that, because he's saying at Manatee, and I will say, and Dr. Perry, because I know you mentor a lot of students out in the community, that Mr. Young and a couple other people on campus have created a boys group, and they meet on Fridays after school, once again volunteering their time to spark that. So when he talks about, you know, getting kids involved, it's not just about the academic, it's about giving pizza and playing video games and showing them that there are other people that care, and just being positive role models for other people. And I think that's what his message has been, you know, bit by bit, student by student. So I mean, I think that's really kudos to him.
Yeah, awesome job. Thomas Grome said this: one mark of a great teacher is the ability to lead students out to new places where even the educator has never been. And that's what you do by providing those extra opportunities for students, because it's a growing for all of us, teacher included. Ms. Beauchamp, thank you for joining us. Mr. Young, congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year. It's a pleasure to celebrate you.
Thank you.
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the Creative Galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Each one of our journeys keeps us young.
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
We'll never get older. Each one.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Please join us in welcoming to our show the dynamic Katherine Christopher, who's the fantastic, awesome Teacher of the Year for Village Green Elementary Environmental School. Did I get all of that right? And she's brought along with her Mr. Lehman, who's the dynamic, proud principal at Village Green. Welcome to our show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are excited to have an opportunity to do this show. We get excited every year because it gives us an opportunity to highlight, to celebrate teachers and teaching, the profession that we've chosen and the one that we love. With that being said, Ms. Christopher, would you briefly introduce yourself to all of our viewers?
My name is Katherine Christopher. I am a mother, 2 children. I currently work at Village Green Environmental Study Schools, as you stated before, and I'm a kindergarten teacher.
Where did you get your degree, and what's your degree in, Ms. Christopher?
I went to a small school in Massachusetts called Mount Ida College, and my degree is in liberal studies, and I minored in elementary education.
So why did you choose teaching as a profession?
If I have to be very honest,
Please
that wasn't when I went to college. That's not what I was my original major, and I wanted to be a doctor, and I was taking all my statistics classes, all those classes you need to take, and there wasn't no enjoyment in it. I didn't feel that enjoyment, and I went to talk to my advisor, and she said, well, you want to be a doctor. You want to be a doctor for children. How about you take this course? And this course that at the time was called Foundations of Education. And when I took the class, throughout that whole semester in that class, I found a love for what was being taught. And when I went back to the advisor, she said, now you know what you want to be. And that was my start, was becoming a teacher. I also had teachers in my experience as an elementary and middle school. Most importantly, my 8th grade teacher, Mr. Doty was his name. He also was the one that inspired me, also with my parents, to go to think of college. And he always made us feel welcomed when we walked into a classroom. And so from that, knowing I was going to go to college, taking that class after the advisor, suggested it, it just made it the fit thing for me to become a teacher.
So, Mr. Lehman, introduce yourself for our viewers as well.
Sure. My name's Brad Lehman. I'm a second-year principal and proud at that at Village Green Environmental Studies School. I've been in education here in St. Lucie County for my entire educational career since 2006, and so I'm a proud servant of our community here.
So, you have an opportunity to watch the magic happen with Ms. Christopher every day. Take us into her room and let us see what happens in her world through your eyes.
Sure. Well, as we all know, kindergartners can be quite the dynamic group to teach. But I will tell you that every day, when you walk into Miss Christopher's kindergarten classroom, you're walking into a world of learning and little distraction. She is extremely organized and caring for her students, which emanates that learning and inspires that learning throughout each and every day. And sometimes you walk into the classroom and you wonder, where are the kindergarten students? Because they are sitting, they're quiet, or they are engaged in whatever it is that Miss Christopher has set out for them.
So, Ms. Christopher, do you think that there was someone along the way that inspired you to do what you do, or that you model the way you present your lessons to your kindergartners every day?
When I was in my, at the time they called them practicums, I'm not sure what they call them now, to be honest. I had a cooperating teacher, and I watched her like a hawk. And the way she moved in the classroom, the way she had the children, as we call, engage in the lesson, from the time she walked in the room to the end of the day, those children were constantly learning something. And I was the student teacher that felt like I had to do so much and bring everything to the table. And one day she sat me down and she said, at the time I was not married, so she said, Miss Frederick, I need you to understand something. You want to do so much, but less is more. And I didn't understand what she meant at that time, because I was a very young teacher. But continuing to watch her, that made me realize whatever I bring to the table, my thought process on how I want to make sure this lesson is implemented, the children, with my help, with my support, will be able to get it. And she was able to see that every day is a good day. Every day is a good day.
So, Mr. Lehman, describe Ms. Christopher for us using 3 adjectives and tell us why those 3.
Sure. Well, 3 adjectives. One, the first would be driven. I borderline competitive, but driven in that she wants to be the best version of herself each and every single moment of every single day. Energetic would be the second adjective that I would use. There is not a day that goes by, and it hasn't been a day that has went by since I've been at Village Green where Mrs. Christopher hasn't entered our building either whistling or singing or playing music that she's using to just create this energy around her as she enters our building, walks through our halls and gets to her classroom and meets many people along the way. And so that energy certainly is contagious around our building. And last but certainly not least is inspirational, because even when she tries, even if she is trying to or not, she inspires not only her students every day, but the adults in our building every single day by her actions and by her words. And it certainly has an impact on our school culture and climate.
So give us a peek into what this borderline competitive means with Miss Christopher.
Well, what it means is that she strives to be as close to perfect as possible each and every day.
Awesome.
And that shines through in our planning. When she's an instructional leader in our building. I know that I've kind of failed maybe to mention that, but she is our grade chair in kindergarten. She leads our collaborative learning and planning each and every day. And in those sessions, that's where the magic starts. Mm-hmm. And again, constantly going back to things and say, team, we need to go back and look at this because it just wasn't right, or it just doesn't seem right, or again, trying to approach perfection. And again, that drive, I use the word driven, but that drive comes from her desire to want to be the best teacher her students have each and every day. And by virtue of that, it spills over into our other classrooms.
So, Mrs. Christopher, when did you first fall in love completely with teaching?
I would say the first time I fell in love with teaching would be my second year of teaching. That first year was that trial and error. This works, this doesn't work. But then when my second year came and I really, for me, had a grasp on what I wanted it to look like, and like all of us say, when you come in the morning and you tackle your day, you have to make sure that you make the most of it, the best of it. So when I fell in love with teaching was my second year teaching, and I fell in love with it every day because there's always something new for you to learn. But when I realized that this was not just a profession for me, it was a calling, would have been my second year, because knowing that I was making a difference, I was being impactful since day one.
So with all that you know and all of your experiences, collectively, what do you see as the greatest challenge facing education today?
The greatest challenge that I see that we face education today is trying to close that achievement gap. As much as we try our best to, as they come in every day, we do everything and anything to impact our children and give them the skills that they need. It's work. The biggest challenge is parental involvement. That's another one, getting our parents to buy into what it is that we're doing on a daily basis and understanding that it's a homeschool partnership. It's not us over here and you over there, it's a we.
Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Lehman, what makes Ms. Christopher the perfect candidate for this honor?
Well, I always draw upon a phrase that Ms. Christopher frequently uses in our building, and that's shine your own light. Mm-hmm. And she exemplifies that each and every day. She shines her light, and again, she, as I mentioned before, she inspires our teachers, even when she isn't meaning to inspire them. Just by virtue of her actions and her approach to her students and her delicate care for her students, it spreads like wildfire. And in using her words, her shining her own light draws other people to that same light. And so I can't celebrate enough that she's our Teacher of the Year at Village Green Environmental Studies School. Well deserved. And I know that everybody in our building recognizes it.
So, Ms. Christopher, you are the spokesperson, the representative for Village Green because of the nature of you being the Teacher of the Year. Many visitors come, the superintendent may show up, lawmakers, decision makers may come up. Mr. Lehman says, Mr. Christopher, they're here, you're on, the spotlight's on you. What's your message?
This may sound cliche, but with everything that educators go through on a daily basis, the one thing I feel like I would say is just breathe. And the reason why I say that behind that just breathe is, yes, things are thrown at us, but the job still has to get done. So take each day with full force and breathe through it and get the job done.
Let me leave you with the words of Elizabeth Andrews when she said, good teaching comes not from behind the desk, but from behind the heart. It's evident that you are really showing your heart to those students, to the teachers that you lead on your team, and to everyone that you work with at Village Green. Mr. Lehman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Ms. Christopher, thank you for shining your light, and congratulations on your selection as Teacher of the Year.
Thank you.
When it comes to saving money,
What?
Parents!
don't act like a baby.
Oh, it's like they're having their own little meeting. This is so humiliating.
Be the boss
I'm the boss.
What the?
Power nap. You were saying.
and make a budget.
Let's get to work.
Need a little help?
Stacy, read back the notes.
I can't read. What's it say?
Create a personalized savings plan and get other tools and tips
We can share.
You obviously didn't go to business school.
at feedthepig.org.
Please join us in welcoming the dynamic Mr. John Renschler to our show. He's the Teacher of the Year for Samuel Gaines Academy. Mr. Renschler, welcome.
Hello, Dr. Perry.
Congratulations on your selection as Teacher of the Year.
Thank you very much.
He's brought along with him the very proud principal of Samuel Gaines Academy, good friend, Brother Keith Davis. Mr. Davis, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
All is well. We are so excited to be able to do this show. Every year we start off by saying that because as educators, we get to highlight education and educators, the profession that we've chosen and the one that we love. So, Mr. Renschler, let's jump right in and ask you to introduce yourself to our viewers.
I am John Renschler. I graduated with an elementary education degree at Ball State University, chirp chirp. I was born and raised in Indiana as a huge Indianapolis Colts fan. And since coming from Indiana to Florida in 2016 with my wife, I taught at Floresta in first grade, the fantastic Floresta Elementary School of first grade. After a couple years there, I made the transition over to Keith at Samuel Gaines Academy of Emerging Technologies, and I've been teaching first grade there ever since. But I've been teaching in all different sorts of avenues. I am a middle school basketball coach at Samuel Gaines Academy for the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. I was a drama coach at Floresta for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. And I'm a youth group pastor at my church for middle schoolers and high schoolers. So definitely have a lot of experience, and teaching wasn't just a career choice, it was definitely a lifestyle choice. So I love what I do.
So what's your favorite part of teaching?
I remember my first male teacher growing up. His name was Mr. South. He was a 3rd grade teacher of mine. He was a huge role model for myself and for my friends, and for a lot of my friends, he was the first male role model. And I remember having the feeling that I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be the role model for others. And I kept in touch with Mr. South, and he's actually the one that encouraged me to go into teaching. And it actually fit my lifestyle pretty well, fit my personality pretty well, and now I'm in that position. I am the role model for a lot of my first graders. In a lot of cases, I'm the first role model for a lot of my first graders. And it's very rewarding because I can be the one that teaches them the skills they need all the way through college. You know, they might remember me as the guy who threw them the first pass that they caught. And to me, that is such a privilege to have. No other job in the world has that experience.
So what was it about Mr. South?
It was the way he carried himself.
It was the way he showed us how to become a better man, a better person. It was also the way he, I'm starting to get emotional. It was also the way he took care of us, made us feel special. A lot of times, especially in the elementary grades, you have women as your teacher, and I love all of my women teachers that I've had, but his was special because he was my only elementary male teacher, and I had that male role model for him and my friends too. And he saved a lot of lives just because of the way he carried himself and the way he took care of us.
Mr. Davis, introduce yourself to our viewers too.
Hi, I'm Keith Davis. I'm the proud principal of Samuel S. Gaines Academy of Emerging Technologies. This will be my 5th year. We've been able to do some fantastic things. It's a STEM magnet school, and we've been able to really make transcend history. I've been doing this for over 25 years now, and it feels like every year we do it, I'm getting younger and younger. So, and so I'm hoping I'm making the same impact on my Teacher of the Year as his elementary teacher is.
So tell our viewers, Mr. Davis, where you studied.
Okay, I am a graduate of South Carolina State University, and I'm also a graduate of Fort Pierce Central High School.
I had to make sure I got that in. I had to make sure I got that in, yes.
But other than that, those are the places I've studied and just been able to matriculate through those schools.
All right, so when you are with your students every day, if I were to walk into your classroom, what would I see happening?
Well, first of all, come anytime.
Okay.
We would love to have you.
Okay.
My classroom, for the most part, feels like an episode of The Price is Right. It's energetic, it's fun, kids are cheering for each other, supporting each other, the positivity is through the roof. But one of the things that I really take to heart is I let the kids learn from each other. I give them time to talk to one another. They have the chance to learn the ways from each other that might be different from one another. Some of the best teachers I've ever seen are in 1st grade. The Carleys, the Pablos, the Schneiders, those guys are some of the greatest teachers. This honor of Teacher of the Year belongs to them as much as it does to me. Also, since we are a technology STEM magnet school, I try to incorporate technology in almost everything that I do. Sometimes by the end of the year, the students are better at technology than I am, which shows that I'm doing my job right.
So how do you motivate a 1st grader?
Oh man, it starts with that male role model. It starts with making that connection from day one. I have a very unique personality. I try to emit my personality in my classroom, amongst my students, and my students really gravitate towards that. Engaging and motivating has kind of come natural to me. I think it's my personality, my lifestyle, the way I carry myself, just like Mr. South did with me. I think that motivates them to do whatever they need to do to succeed, and I'm really proud of that.
So, Mr. Davis, you have the opportunity to see this engaging environment happen every day. Yes. Give us a peek into Mr. Renschler's class through your eye.
So, as you enter into the 1st grade pod, you're going to hear everything that's going on in advance. The unique thing about that is when you hear the sounds and it's occurring, you're just caught and drawn into looking and seeing what's going on. Well, the minute you decide to put your handle on the door, you're already a part of it. You're going to be part of the lesson that's going on, regardless what it is. Kids, I don't even know why they have furniture in his class, because the kids are standing up, they're all around, they're moving around, they're going from station to station. But the energy is so high in that class. And then they're able to just tell you the information that's needed at the time. And coming from one classroom to the other, I'm like, oh my God, did you all see what was going on in there? So not only are you hearing it, but you're seeing things occur. But even when they're talking in the hallway, it's about the lesson that is occurring or what is getting ready to occur in their next transition. So that's kind of unique to see what's being able to happen. And even his students in 3rd and 4th grade now are even, well, in 3rd grade, they are even talking about, oh, when I get a chance to go back to Mr. Renschler's class, I hope I can blah, 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 blah. So those are the things. And it's just high energy all day long.
So high energy. I think with this next question, one of those descriptors may be energetic. Describe Mr. Renschler for me using 3 adjectives and tell me why, please, Mr. Davis.
Well, I won't go with energetic, but however, I will look at just enthusiastic. Definitely dependable and astute. So as I think about the lessons and the things he does, he takes the students where they are. So we have students that are above grade level, and then we have some that are just like 4-year-old level. So he's able to take the standard, break it down, and then he applies it or personalize it to meet their needs with the same high energy. And the students, they don't even know that they're learning. They just know they got the content and they're playing and they're having a great time. But then when you talk to them in the auditoria, they are able to share exactly what's going on, what the standard is asking for.
All right. So, Mr. Renschler, what do you? Let me change that. I'll save that question.
Okay.
When did you first fall in love with teaching?
It has to be my very first year, my very first experience at Floresta. I was surrounded by supportive people. I was surrounded by great teammates. I was surrounded by great leaders. And that's when I knew, like, I'm not in this alone. There's people here that are going to support me. They're going to help me. They're going to walk me through this. And that was my first year. And it kind of just grew on from there. Every single year, I feel like I'm surrounded by people that are there for me, to help me grow, to help me just have fun. Keith, you've been such a great principal, very supportive, and that trickles down all the way down to your assistant principals, to my mentors, everyone. And I think that's the love of teaching, is it's a community. It's definitely a community.
So the question that I almost asked, I'll go to that one now.
Okay.
What do you see as the biggest challenge facing education today?
It has to be the mental stability of our teachers and our students, and the safety too. Mental illness has been a major push for the past few years, and that push has to continue. If we want to take those great strides in kicking the stigma and showing that it's okay to ask for help, especially in the academic setting, we have to continue what we've done so far. And the safety of our schools, has to be a priority. Outside dangers are influencing us and our mental capacity, and it's making it harder and harder to teach for teachers and harder and harder to learn for the students. So I would say those two are the major factors that we need to really, really focus on.
Mr. Davis, what makes Mr. Renschler the perfect candidate for this honor?
Usually, teachers kind of see things in their circle. However, Mr. Renschler, he gets the full picture. So even though he's only in first grade, he has this project called Game Over. And what it is, it's teachers that are involved, and he actually makes a movie. And it's like different parts, and it's about like Mario, and it's all these different characters, but it shows like once or twice a week virtually. But we have all these characters, and they're talking about different things that's going on. But because he's able to do that, he's able to extend beyond his first grade pod. He's able to extend beyond. And so he's in middle school, and he's talking to teachers, he's talking to students. And you want someone who's going to be able to expand themselves and see beyond that circle on his influence. So his influence has trickled all the way up through middle school. And I think as a teacher of the year, he knows he would be a representative of St. Lucie Public Schools. And he has a natural, even in his amount of time he's been teaching, he has a natural inclination on the system, and he understands and has a very personal relationship with education.
And what is this called again? Game On?
Game On, or now it's like Game Over now.
Okay.
And it's something that it's on our Facebook page, and it shows. It is awesome.
Totally awesome. So, Mr. Renschler, your selection as the Teacher of the Year automatically makes you the ambassador for education for Samuel S. Gaines Academy. You have an opportunity to speak to many different people about our wonderful profession. What's your message? Game on.
My message extends beyond Teacher of the Year. I mean, I have the honor of representing as the Teacher of the Year because of the hard work I put into our school and to our students and to the district as well. But I want the Teacher of the Year to represent the teachers who stay after school to simply just spend more time on a lesson that they want to make perfect. I want the Teacher of the Year to represent all the teachers who dress in silly costumes just to make their students laugh or to engage their students in something they're teaching. And of course, I want to represent all of the students who come to school because it's the safest place to be. I want to represent Penelope, Alex, and Kwamare, who believed in me because I believed in them. Peyton Manning said that the most valuable player is the one who makes the most players valuable. And I want this Teacher of the Year honor to show how much I value all the people who got me here. And I want this to show everybody who's going to continue to support me. And I think that goes to show like it's a community of people that this represents. It represents the teachers, the parents, my coworkers, the principals, the admin, everybody. It's a community of people to foster the future of these kids.
Well, let's close with the words of John Lubbock when he said, "The important thing is not so much that every child should be taught as that every child should be given the wish to learn." And it's evident by the enthusiasm and the energy that's happening in that first grade classroom that every student is being given a wish to learn. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Congratulations on your selection, Mr. Renschler,
Thank you, Dr.
as
Perry.
Teacher of the Year.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to celebrate you. Please join us and welcome Mr. Nicholas Spagnuolo to our show. He's a wonderful Teacher of the Year over at Allapattah Flats K-8 School. Welcome.
How you doing, Dr. Perry?
All is well. He's brought along with him the very proud principal, Ms. Anna Rodriguez. Welcome.
Thank you.
It is exciting for us to be here. I tell every person that we speak to how exciting it is to do this show every year because it gives us an opportunity to highlight teaching and to highlight teachers, the wonderful profession that we've chosen, the work that we do every day, and to introduce some of our wonderful teachers to our viewers. And with that being said, I'll ask that you introduce yourself briefly to us.
Yes, Dr. Perry. Like I said, I'm at Allapattah Flats. I've been there now for 15 years, I think it is. I've been there since it opened. We were at the trailer site, a temporary site for a period of time. I'm originally from Michigan. I moved down here right out of college. I graduated high school, graduated college in Michigan, went to the University of Michigan, got my bachelor's in elementary education, go blue. And I moved down here right out of college, out of 23 years old, came down and started working at Allapattah. Patty Heffelfinger was at a job fair up in Ann Arbor, and that's kind of how I got down here. Been down here for 15 years and loving it ever since. At Allapattah, I've been a math teacher, taught a lot of different subjects, but primarily middle school math. I have also now recently taken over as dean at Allapattah. So a lot of different faces and a lot of fun.
Ms. Rodriguez, would you briefly introduce yourself too?
Yes, Anna Rodriguez, or Onos. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. Very proud of that. I came to Florida after I graduated high school and completed my bachelor's and my master's at FAU. So I started working as a teacher at White City Elementary. That was in 1996. I loved White City. Then after I completed my master's, I became an administrator and assistant principal at Bayshore Elementary, later on Village Green, and then I went to Allapattah, where I have been assistant principal, and for the last 6 years, I've been the principal.
Okay, so what made you choose education as a profession?
So I think it goes back to my freshman year of college. Originally, I was not going to go into education. It was something that I always had in the back of my mind, but criminal justice was my original love, I guess you would say. And during my freshman year of college, I started coaching Little League Baseball. And that's kind of what opened up my eyes to coaching and teaching. They kind of go hand in hand. And from that on, that's what's started my passion. And after that, I knew that that's what I needed to do.
So when you found your passion and followed your passion, when you think about the past 15 years or so, do you think you pattern yourself, or do you reflect that there might have been a teacher in the back of your mind that inspired you?
Absolutely. I had a couple teachers in school. One specifically, Mr. Caruso. He was my biology teacher as a junior. We just had a great relationship. We worked well together. I learned a lot in his class, and I also had a lot of fun in his class. And that was one of the guys that once I knew that I was going to be heading in this direction, I wanted to model myself after.
So thinking that you really thought about criminal justice and then what you have been doing for the past 15 years, when did you first fall in love with teaching?
I would have to say my first real true love was when I went into my semester of student teaching in college. I kind of got tossed right into the classroom. I went to a classroom where the teacher was on her way out. She was retiring, and she kind of just pushed me right in there. And I started teaching the second day I was there. And I loved it, and it was so much fun, and I had a 4th grade group at that time. And I learned so much just being tossed right in. And we had a lot of fun with the kids, and they learned a lot, and I learned a lot. And I think that was really when I found out that I was really going to love this profession.
Experience is a wonderful teacher, isn't it?
It is.
It really is.
It is.
So, Ms. Rodriguez, you have an opportunity to watch Mr. Spagnuolo work every day. Through your eye, give us a peek into his world.
So he's very active. He's one of those people who I would say is more active rather than passive. From the very moment that he starts the day, he's greeting students, he's talking to students. He already has an agenda in his mind of what's going to go on during the day. I think that's the one thing that I see the most is connection with the students. Connecting with the students and with the staff. That is always evident in everything he does.
Describe him for us using 3 adjectives and tell us why.
So I think the first one is loyal. Like he said, he's been at Allapattah since it opened. And he's had the opportunity to go to other places because he's a very, very good teacher. And he's still with us. He's always there, no matter, before school, after school, weekends, anything that we need. He's very loyal, reliable. If I have a task that I need to assign to someone that I can count on and depend on, that's Mr. Spagnuolo. And the other one is that mindset, that growth positive mindset just makes him a very positive influence on students.
So you are the voice for your school. With what you have experienced over the past 15 years, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing education?
Right now, especially with the times we're going through right now, the past year and a half, children and students, they need a positive relationship with teachers, with loving adults, because everybody's going through a lot right now. And I think that the world needs, and we need to make sure that we have the right people in these positions, the ones that are going to provide the students with the care that they need, the tools they need to be successful. That would be my biggest, what I would say is most important right now, to make sure that these kids get what they need through these hard times.
So, Ms. Rodriguez, what makes Mr. Spagnuolo the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
He is the perfect combination of content knowledge and that social emotional part that he's referring to. It's that connection with students where students develop not just respect but admiration for somebody, and they want to reach those expectations that this educator has set for them.
So Teacher of the Year, you automatically become the spokesperson for Allapattah Flats. Superintendent comes with a whole bunch of lawmakers, decision makers. Ms. Rodriguez calls you, you're on the spot. What's your message?
What's my message? I guess my message would be to, all students to be able to have an education provided to them that they, can be successful in. Making sure that all students have an equal opportunity to be successful, and making sure that all students have the same abilities that everybody else does. Being able to, a student that maybe comes through a lower income, making sure that they have the same things, the same tools, the same teachers that we do at any other education.
Mary Futrell said, when the untapped potential of a student meets the liberating art of a teacher, a miracle unfolds. Thank you for being that miracle worker with the students at Allapattah Flats every day. Ms. Rodriguez, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your selection as Teacher of the Year.
Thank you, Dr. Bray.
It's a pleasure to celebrate you.
Thank you.
Sweetheart, think about your future. Jeff over there did, and just look at him. He saved up, bought a house, he's got a beautiful wife, they even had a fancy pants destination wedding, and oh, they had a baby! Ah! Smart and handsome, ooh la la. Now, I've been saving these frames for pictures of my future grandbabies for years, and the shopping sprees on organic clothing and telephone cases is not helping you save for a family. Oh, gracious! Look at that! He's a model! Oh. I bet you he's putting all that money right into a 401k or his baby's college fund. And his teeth are so straight. See how good saving can look at feedthepig.org. Feed the pig.
We're happy to welcome to our show at this time Traci Krencik, who is the wonderful Teacher of the Year over at Lincoln Park Academy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
She's brought along with her the very proud, and he will say it over and over and over again. Did I say over? Principal of Lincoln Park Academy, our great friend, Mr. Henry Santabria. Mr. Santabria, welcome.
Thank you.
As I tell everyone, Ms. Krencik, we always love doing this show because it gives us the opportunity to introduce to our viewing audience just a portion of the many educators that we have here in St. Lucie County. We know our education system makes a major impact on the lives of the entire community, so it gives us, like I said, a chance to share some of our wonderful educators with our community members. So with that, I'll start by asking you to briefly introduce yourself, background information, where you went to school, what do you teach, how many years teaching, that kind of information.
Well, I'm from the great state of Oklahoma. I graduated from the University of Central Oklahoma. This is officially it's my 28th year to teach school. I, though, took off 2 years to stay home with my boys, so that was quite wonderful. I now teach English, language arts at Lincoln Park Academy. This is my 14th year at Lincoln Park. Before that, I was at Fairlawn Elementary here in St. Lucie County. And I love teaching middle school. I know that sounds crazy.
Oh, it does.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It keeps us on our toes.
So what's so special about teaching middle school?
I think kids are really finding themselves.
Really, yes.
They are, and they're asking so many questions, and they change so much from when they enter our door. Even now, third quarter, my 6th graders are, they're trying new things. They're putting themselves out there, and it's quite a sight to see.
So you see so much growth and development from August to now January, and then again by the time we get to June.
Oh, sure.
Very much so. Mr. Santabria, would you please introduce yourself to our viewers as well?
Well, as you had shared with our audience, I am the proud principal of Lincoln Park Academy.
Yes, sir.
I have been the proud principal of Lincoln Park Academy now, going on my 8th year, and that's very, very exciting for me because I get to work with such a wonderful, wonderful staff. This is actually my 17th year in the education profession. Of course, many folks know that I am a prior military active duty member, retired after 21 years of military service in the United States Air Force. And so now I'm doing what I love doing best, and that's making an impact on our young children. And hopefully those students become a great part of the society.
Yes, thank you for your service, Mr. Sanabria. Ms. Krencik, was there someone that inspired you to be a teacher along the way, do you think?
I actually had 3 teachers.
Wow.
3 teachers that were really important to me. The first person that comes to mind was Mrs. Dawson. Mrs. Dawson was my 4th grade teacher, and we were her very first class she ever had. And we were probably terrible, but we had no idea that we were terrible. She just showed so much compassion and just love for her kids, and it really showed. It really impacted me, and I think it still impacts me today, the way I interact with my students. And then 2 of my teachers in high school, Mrs. Sears, who was my English teacher, and I just think hers was more of an approach to how she presented material. And Mrs. Frisbee was my home economics teacher. I was very, very bad at home economics. Sewed the bottom of my dress together. Still not so great at home economics today, but she was just more that emotional support that you need in high school. She made a big difference.
So
in my
let's
life.
say thank you to Ms. Dawson, Ms. Sears, and Ms. Frisbee.
Yes, for sure.
So what's your favorite part of teaching? You already told us middle school, 6th graders, and I'm a person that worked with middle school, and I was like, give me high school. But what's your favorite part of teaching?
It is hands down the relationship with the students. And I think it's such a great opportunity to be at Lincoln Park Academy, because I get to see my students from 6th grade all the way through 12th grade, and seeing them grow, having those special moments with them, and really getting them to see them grow and change along the way. It's so important. I really feel like if you don't have that relationship with students, the most learning can't happen. So that's where it all starts. So those relationships, I even had somebody friend me on Facebook from, I think I had her in 1995 at Fairlawn Elementary. She said, do you remember me? And I was like, I do remember you. So those relationships are by far the very, very best part of teaching.
So, Mr. Sanabria, you have the opportunity to watch the magic happen in a middle school English classroom every day, where the teacher is actually excited to be a middle school teacher. Share with us what you see, what you experience when you visit.
Well, first and foremost, Ms. Krencik is probably the best transitional teacher that I've ever seen in my career. She has that elementary background, so she knows how to deal with those elementary students, and being a 6th grade teacher, she knows what she's getting and she knows how to work with them. So when I walk into her classroom, or when I sneak a peek outside in the pod, I see total student engagement. First and foremost, you do see that the lesson is well planned. And then you see nothing but student engagement. You see students interacting with each other, the academic discourse. Every now and then there might be a little bit of chaos going on in the classroom, but it's controlled chaos. She's allowing them to do what they do best, and that's talk with each other, work through the activity, and then she brings them back. And it's structured, it's organized, and well thought and planned out. That's what I see.
I understand educational chaos. I get it. I get it. So, Mr. Sanabria, describe Ms. Krencik for us, please. 3 adjectives, and then tell us why you chose those 3.
Well, she's a risk taker. Not afraid to try new things. She's innovative, because she's always thinking about doing those new things. And again, if it doesn't work, she'll figure out another way. And then lastly, she's passionate. She's passionate about what she does. She has a purpose. And that purpose is to ensure that her students get what they need.
So, Miss Risk Taker, innovative, passionate 6th grade English teacher, middle school again, when did you first fall in love with teaching?
It's kind of hard because I think there's that certain time that you really do. That shows I've really been doing this for a really long time. But I think the first time I really fell in love with teaching was at Fairlawn Elementary. I can't really remember the year, maybe it had to be my first, but when I started there was such a family atmosphere. And even when I look back on those kids and those families now, it just makes what you're doing worthwhile. You know that you're making a difference, you're seeing that future, and I just loved every minute of it. My husband couldn't get me to come home. You know, it was my boys' home away from home, and so that's really when I first fell in love with teaching. But as I've continued forward, whether I'm changing a grade level, it happens again.
Fall in love again.
When I came over to Lincoln Park Academy, and all of my friends at Fairlawn were like, "What are you doing? You can't leave us, you know, why are you going over there?" And it was a great decision. And I taught 8th grade for 8 years at Lincoln Park before I switched to 6th. And that first year made me such a better teacher because I got to see teaching through a different lens. And I think that had me fall in love with it all over again.
So what inspires you today to continue to go back and do the work, continue to be just so excited, and to fall in love all over again?
Again, it's just the kids and seeing what they can accomplish and knowing that I'm somebody that they can come to if they need me, whether that is academically or whether that is emotionally, something going on at home, if it's just maybe something that happened that day.
So, Mr. Santabria, tell me, what makes Mrs. Krencik the perfect candidate for this honor?
Quite honestly, I think it's her devotion to the profession. She is so devoted to not only the education profession as an institution, but she's also devoted to her students. She strives for nothing less than excellence. And she expects that from her students. She expects it from those who she works with.
So, Ms. Krencik, many challenges face education today. What do you think is one of the biggest challenges facing our profession?
Well, I mean, I think the answer right now in our certain predicament with the pandemic, COVID-19, people just feeling like they don't have a hope sometimes and needing so much help. I think that's probably the biggest challenge because we are not really sure what's around the corner, and that can make it quite difficult, you know, for our students, for our parents, for teachers, and it can get a little emotional because we're there to make a difference for the kids, and that is definitely, at this point, the biggest challenge.
So as the Teacher of the Year for Lincoln Park Academy, you automatically become their ambassador for education. You will have many opportunities to speak with different people about our awesome profession. What's your message?
I would say my message is to listen. I think listening to our young people is so important because sometimes we get wrapped up in, I'm teaching this, I'm doing this, this is my next step. We've got to stop and listen to our kids and what they need, what they're going through, what they're feeling. Because, you know, a really smart person said something to me one time, and he was going through a lot, and I hadn't been listening. And when I finally did, he said, you know, I feel better now because I have a future. I have something to look towards. So I think that's important for our kids, is that when they know they have a future and something to look forward to.
Mrs. Krencik, Mary Hatwood Futrell said, when the untapped potential of a student meets the liberating art of a teacher, a miracle unfolds. It's evident that that's what's happening in your sixth grade room as you help students transition from elementary school to middle school and have that liberating experience to grow and explore in your classroom. Mr. Sanabria, thank you for coming. Ms. Krencik, thank you so much for the work that you do, and congratulations on your selection as Teacher of the Year for Lincoln Park Academy.
Thank you.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even brought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
Joining us at this time for our Teacher of the Year celebration show is the wonderful Miss Brenda Mullins from Francis K. Sweet Elementary School. Miss Mullins, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
She's brought along her proud principal, Miss DeJohn Jackson. Miss Jackson, again, a pleasure to see you and welcome.
Thank you.
Each year we have an opportunity to do this show and celebrate teaching and teachers. We love doing it because it gives us the chance to introduce some of our teachers to our viewing audience. So I'll start, Mrs. Mullins, by asking you to please introduce yourself briefly to our viewers.
Well, my name is Miss Mullins, and I am a kindergarten teacher at Francis K. Sweet. I teach kindergarten. This is my 3rd year teaching. And I have had just an awesome experience at Francis K. Sweet, and I just really look forward to just having a rewarding career in education.
So where did you go to school, and what degree did you earn?
Okay, so I did not pursue a degree in education. I pursued a degree in business.
Okay.
So I have a degree in marketing, and I have a master's degree in human resources.
Excellent, excellent. Ms. Jackson, introduce yourself as well, please.
Hi, I'm a proud product of St. Lucie County. Even though I was not born here, I was raised here and proud to be a part of the community. I went to school in St. Lucie County from elementary on up, but I graduated from Miami Norland Senior High School. After graduating and moving away to Tampa, I came back because St. Lucie is my home. So I'm just excited to be a part of this dynamic district.
So, Ms. Mullins, when you think about your time as an educator now, these 3 years, are you reflecting back, and maybe there was a teacher that from your past that inspired you to become a teacher or inspires the work that you do each day?
Well, absolutely, and like Mrs. Jackson, I am a product of the St. Lucie County School District as well, and when I reflect back to high school, I was thinking about this on my way here, that I had a teacher who was actually a business teacher, and I just really remember her being a role model for me. She was a marketing instructor for me in high school, and that's what I pursued my degree in. And it was just looking at her life and wanting to be like her as a teacher, because she was also very encouraging to me, very inspiring, so much so that I pursued a marketing degree.
So you said, just like Ms. Jackson, you're a product. Did you graduate high school here?
I did. Westwood High School.
Once
Go
a Panther?
Panthers. Always a Panther.
Yes,
Absolutely.
we have to give that shout out.
Yes,
We have to give that
yes,
shout out.
absolutely.
So, kindergarten classes, what's your favorite part of your day and of teaching?
Oh my goodness, it probably starts in the morning when my students come in. We greet each other at the door. We do like well, now it's a virtual pump. Just in the morning, just getting started with SEL. That's where we connect. I connect with my students during social emotional learning time. So I would say that is the highlight of the day. But of course, the entire day, I just enjoy being with them throughout the day. But definitely in the beginning of our day is when I think that sets the tone for our day, is in the morning. So I really enjoy that SEL
time?
Yes.
Yes, I understand. No problem.
Sorry about that.
All these acronyms kind of get lost sometimes with us.
Yeah.
Ms. Jackson, You have the opportunity to see this magic occur every day. Share with us what you experience when you visit Mrs. Mullins' kindergarten class.
Well, Mrs. Mullins, busy bees. The hive is always alive with excitement. When the boys and girls come in and they meet and greet each other, it's just such a sense of warmth in the hive. And I say that because, you know, when they start their morning with their chant, "We are the busy bees," you feel that excitement. Like if I'm down in the morning or after the morning show going in there, I leave pumped up, like ready to go, because we are the busy bees, very, very busy bees. Like that chant just happens everywhere. And when they're in line together, when they're encouraging one another, they are alive with excitement. So it's amazing.
So, Ms. Mullins, not to put you on the spot, but you care to share the busy bee chant with us?
Absolutely. So it's "We are the busy bees, the very, very busy bees. Everywhere we go, people want to know who we are. So we tell them, we are the busy bees, the very, very busy bees."
Oh, what a great way to start the morning with
And that's
music.
how we,
Okay,
yes.
you know, I would love the music. I would love the music. Ms. Jackson, describe Ms. Mullins for us using 3 adjectives and tell us why.
Energetic, because the energy is just alive in her and it carries on with the kids. Thoughtful. When you see her reflecting on what is going to allow her kids to be successful, you can see the thinking going across her head like a ticker tape, like, okay, I know that this one needs this, I know that this one needs this. Nurturing to a T, and not just the boys and girls who are in the class, but their families and that connection that is so there. So much so that families from past years have petitioned, actually drafted a petition to have her move from kindergarten to first to second grade, because they wanted that continuum all the way up to 5th grade. I had to deny them, but they did draft that petition to go from kindergarten on up with their kids to 5th grade.
Well, who knows? Maybe you'll have an opportunity to
Maybe
loop
I will, right.
in the future. Ms. Mullins, tell me, when did you first fall in love with teaching?
Well, that goes back to being a product of St. Lucie County. Even I just remember when we would play in our backyards, because that's what we did back then, that we would play school, and that's what we called it, playing school. And I would always be the teacher. I would always be the teacher. But that's not where my career led me. Of course, as I mentioned, that I ended up going into business. And then it was a little later in life that I realized that I had missed my calling and that I needed to get on track. And so I had an opportunity to relocate back to Fort Pierce. And before coming back, my sister, who's also an educator, mentioned, she says, "Hey, I think you've really missed your calling, and you need to really think about education when you come back." And so I took a long, deep breath, as I'm doing right now. And
the rest is her story,
right. Because even just reflecting back, like I've always been involved with kids, just always. Even when I was in corporate America, I've just always given back because I feel like I'm a servant. And so I've always given back. So I think it's always been there. It's just, you know, like some of life transitions that really just caused me to pay attention that that's where I needed to be.
So, Ms. Jackson, what makes Ms. Mullins the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
Her colleagues, her parents, and everyone saw in her that perfect teacher because of the caring and compassion that is extended to not just her kids, but all kids in our school. If there is creativity needed, she's there. If there is a contest there, she's there. If there is a colleague in need, she's there, and she doesn't make a lot of noise about it, but she's very intentional about the caring that is extended to all. So without hesitation, her colleagues and her school community selected her to be that representative of just the outstanding education that happens in our school.
Ms. Mullins, many challenges facing education today, what do you perceive as the biggest one?
Well, I think just personally for me and where I am in my career in education, I think the one that just keeps me up at night is just the parent involvement. I just wish that there was more parent involvement and just, you know, maybe just what keeps me up is just trying to come up with ways and strategies that I can get my parents involved to ensure, you know, the success of their students. So I would say that that's that thing that I hear, not only myself, but a lot of teachers saying that, hey, if we could just get more parent involvement, that, you know, probably our students could thrive more and be successful in the classroom.
As the Teacher of the Year, you automatically become the ambassador for education at Francis K-Suite. You could be the Teacher of the Year for St. Lucie Public Schools. What's your message?
Well, my message is that, you know, all students are unique, and that as an educator that we should all be just really striving to provide a safe space where students can grow and learn, like emotionally, physically, you know, academically, socially, just to create that safe space where students can flourish, where they can, you know, just reach and meet their full potential as students. And also, I would like to push that every teacher try to create that warm, inviting place where all of their students feel like, you know, this is a safe space for me to take risk and where I can express myself. So that would be my message, just really pushing for all educators to really just to create that safe space where students can learn.
John Warren left us with these words: the teacher's task is to initiate the learning process and then get out of the way. Thank you for initiating the task for those busy bees and keeping them hyped up and energetic.
Thank you.
Ms. Jackson, thank you for joining us. And Ms. Mullins, congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year for Francis K-Suite Elementary School.
Thank you so much.
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the creative galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Each one of our journeys keeps us young.
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
We'll never get older. Each one
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
It is our extreme joy to welcome at this time to our show the wonderful Miss Janelle Brissett, who is the Dynamic Teacher of the Year over at Lakewood Park Elementary School. Ms. Brissett, welcome.
Thank you.
She's brought along my great friend, the wonderful principal there, Ms. Carrie Wallachevitz. Welcome to our show.
Thank you for having us.
It is a pleasure, ladies, to speak with both of you. We get excited every year when we get to do this show because it actually gives the educational system, St. Lucie Public Schools, the opportunity to introduce to our viewers some of our wonderful educators. With that being said, Ms. Brissett, would you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
Yes. I am a very dedicated teacher. I first started my, not say career, but I first started at the College of the Bahamas. I am from Nassau, Bahamas, which is the capital, and that is where I grew my love for not only teaching, but teaching others. The game of sports is what I started out to pursue, a career in physical education, which I did achieve that. Tiny little island, grew up, I'm the baby of the family. I'm the last of 6. And yeah, it's just fantastic to be here. I'm so excited.
Well,
I'm overly joyed.
We love the Bahamas. All of us have visited there many times, but we're so grateful and thankful that you're making St. Lucie County your home. Ms. Wallachevitz, introduce yourself.
Carrie Wallachevitz. I'm the principal of Lakewood Park, very proud principal. Love all the work we're doing there, and the special people that teach with us just make it an even more fantastic place.
So, Ms. Brissett, when you think about your career, your journey as an educator, do you think that there might have been someone or a few people that inspired you to be a teacher?
Yes, of course, I do have what they would say someone, that Miss Patty that we spoke about during one of our trainings. I can never forget her. Miss Lundy is her name. We stay in communication as well to this day. She was my physical education teacher in high school. And she inspired me so much because she took me under her wing. She not only addressed the academic or the athletic side of me, but also addressed me as an individual, my needs. I remember the time when I was sick in 1995, and she just took me under her wing, and she babied me in her little cubby. She brought me lunch. She just showed me so much love and compassion. Even though she was just my teacher, she felt more like a mother to me.
So tell me, what's your favorite part of teaching each day?
My favorite part of teaching, I would say, is the fact that my students can come to me and say, you know what, Ms. Brissett, you're a great teacher. I never knew this skill back then, but now I know it now. And the strides that they have made in terms of their academics has really brightened up my day. I get so excited about talking about my students' data. I get excited about talking about their needs and if their needs are being met, even if that's not my responsibility, which I do feel it is because of that inspiring teacher that I had along the way. That's what gets me, when they can come back and say, Ms. Brissett, I love you. I love having you. I love being around you. I just love the time you take with me to help steer me in the right direction. Even if that student 2 minutes ago was getting on my last nerve, you would say, I would erase that and say, let's start over, you know? So when they see I can go beyond that and not hold anything against them, but just be freely open to address all their needs is what drives me.
Mrs. Waller-Kevitz, you have the opportunity to see this magic occur every day. Share with us your experiences when you visit Mrs. Brissett's room.
It is definitely a classroom like none other. Just to paint a picture, there are anchor charts everywhere and visual cues for the most advanced student and the most struggling student. She's able to really make children do the heavy lifting. And so in class, what you see are students engaged in their work, but having conversations, deep, rich conversations about text or about a story they're reading or about something they're getting ready to write on, or even being able to, because of the environment she creates that's loving and nurturing, being able to critique each other's work in a responsible, caring manner rather than just, like giving them individual feedback. Children are able to give each other feedback.
So, Ms. Brissett, let's talk about when you first fell in love with teaching.
When I first fell in love with teaching, I started as a math interventionist in Fort Lauderdale, actually Miami, Florida. And they actually created that job for me because there were no physical education jobs. And I said to myself, there has to be something out there available to me. I thought that physical education, teaching my students the history of sport and how to play and developing their skills to get them at the next level was what my purpose was. But then when I got into the classroom and I started to help out with the math, by the way, which wasn't my thing. I always loved reading. And the students that I had at that time, they were so receptive. And this was a group of students that several teachers couldn't reach. And so when I walked in as a math interventionist and I took over, I said, can I take over this lesson and just help them out? And the way that that teacher saw the way I connected with them and taught them it, and they got a chance to take it on themselves and go up to the board and work on that question, you know? Because I'm that type of person, I have to do it in order to get it. And he walked out. His name was Mr. McGuire. He walked out and he was like, I'll be right back. And I'm like, okay. And then it was like 2 minutes later, I heard my name. At the time, I was Ms. Lockhart. I wasn't married then. And they said, report to the office. Like, oh man, what did I do? You know, this is my first week on the job. What did I do? And the principal called me in and he was like, what you did with those kids just now, you need a teaching job. You don't need to be no interventionist. And he called up another principal at another school, and he was like, if you don't want her, we're gonna take her, and I'm gonna create a job for her because this girl got some skills. And she said, come on over, do your interview. And that was it. That's when I knew that this was my purpose. This was my calling from God. This isn't something that I take very lightly. I take my job very serious. Morning, noon, and night, I'm constantly going through my brain, like, what is it that I can do? My students, they took a test today. And I already know what standard that I need to hit when I get back tomorrow. So it's like, this is what I was made for.
Gotcha.
And that's when I first fell in love. That was my first time falling in love with teaching.
So, Mrs. Waller-Kevitz, describe Mrs. Brissett for us using 3 adjectives and tell us why you chose those 3.
Well, some of the adjectives I'm going to use, I think everything she said just truly will support. So she's definitely very motherly and nurturing, but it's a tough love nurturing. She doesn't let her kids get away with a lot, but they are so willing to do anything she asks because of that nurturing love that she provides. She is definitely relentless. Again, I think you heard that as well. Just with her willing to really get in the nitty-gritty of exactly why a student isn't getting to where they need to be. And the last one would probably be resilient. And I say resilient because you can put anybody in Miss Brissett's room and she will find a way to connect with them. You can throw anything at her first thing in the morning and she will figure out a way to make it work. You can call her at whatever time, email her, and she is just willing to figure it out, bounce back, and never, ever does she come to work or have a moment without that beautiful smile on her face. And she just oozes love of teaching.
So share with us what makes her the perfect candidate for this honor.
I think what makes her the perfect candidate is that she has the ability to get other adults and children on campus to go farther than they even believe that they can go. And to me, that's a phenomenal teacher. She has the ability to take a kid that maybe has some self-doubt, and by the end of the year, it doesn't even take her a year, they are just blossoming and blooming because of what she brings to the table.
So, Ms. Brissett, as the Teacher of the Year at Lakewood Park Elementary, you automatically become their ambassador for education. In that position, you may have many opportunities to share our wonderful profession, share your love for the profession with many other people. What's your message?
My message is, whatever job you're doing, whether you're a para, whether you're a custodian, whether you're that administrator, it doesn't matter how big or small your job is. Do your job with excellence because there's purpose behind it. We were all created for a purpose. And that purpose involves excellence. So, you know, I'm involved in my church community, and if I have to clean the bathrooms, it's gonna be the best cleaning ever, because I know that once they walk in, they're like, I can use this restroom, you know? So when you take your job and you see it as a purpose, there's nothing less than greatness that can come out of it.
Purpose. It's great to know that we all should be living a purpose-driven life. Let me share with you the words of Scott Hayden when he said, teachers have 3 loves: love of learning, love of learners, and the love of bringing the first 2 loves together. Thank you for doing that with your students at Lakewood Park Elementary. Mrs. Waller-Kevitz, thank you for coming and sharing the wonderful Miss Brissett with us. Congratulations on your selection as a Teacher of the Year, and it is a pleasure for us to honor you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Perry, and I am delighted and blessed to be here.
I'm Anne. I'm a scientist.
Recycling takes a team.
Why don't you let me and me help you out?
Everyone plays a part. Don't trash.
I love taking stuff apart and building new things out of it.
what could be treasure.
Pal's my most advanced android. This is awesome. You haven't seen anything yet.
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
It is our extreme pleasure and honor to welcome to our show at this time the fabulous Miss Felicia Davis, the wonderful Teacher of the Year over at Parkway Elementary School. Miss Davis, welcome to our show.
Thank you very much.
She's brought along with her my very dear friend, the awesome principal there, Mrs. LaTanya Green. That's Green with an E on the end. The wonderful principal. Ms. Green, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Ladies, it is always a pleasure for us to have an opportunity to tape this show because it gives us, St. Lucie Public Schools, the honor, the opportunity to introduce some of our wonderful teachers to our community. We know that the person selected as the Teacher of the Year represent our dynamic teaching field, our educators, and we part so much knowledge and seed into our communities each and every day. So it's just a pleasure for us to introduce some of our teachers to our community. With that being said, Ms. Davis, would you please briefly introduce yourself to our viewers?
Once again, I'm Felicia Davis. I've been teaching for 18 years. I started off in Brooklyn, New York. Then I made my way through Brooklyn to Orlando to Palm Beach, and now I'm here in the fabulous St. Lucie County at Parkway Elementary School.
Well, we're so glad that you made your way home. Ms. Green, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I am LaTanya Green, as Dr. Perry shared earlier, and I am the proud principal of Parkway Elementary School. I am fortunate and blessed enough to have been a product of St. Lucie Public Schools, being a 1990 graduate of Lincoln Park Academy at that time, and go Greyhounds.
Go Greyhounds, go Greyhounds. That shout out, yes,
I had an opportunity to extend my learning and go to Florida State University, where I have a bachelor's degree in social work and psychology, and then I moved forward with my leadership, and I have a master's degree in educational leadership, and I was able to teach in Tallahassee, and I had the opportunity to teach and do some leadership things in Orlando, and again, I made my way back home, back to beautiful St. Lucie County, where I've served as principal, director of student services, and principalship again, and I love every bit of it. Every moment that I have an opportunity to work with our students is a great day and a great moment.
So, Ms. Davis, have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher, and if not, when did you decide?
No, I did not know that I wanted to become a teacher, because when I went to school and graduated, I did communications, I worked in a record label, so I did a lot of other things. It just so happened that when I got pregnant with my second child, my husband said to me, what is it going to be? Are you going to stay at home and raise your child? So I had to laugh because I was like, what do you think I'm doing now? But then I went into education, and I just fell in love with it. I had a principal that saw something in me and inspired me, and she said, you can do this, because I didn't think I could. She said, you can do this. And she was right. And my mom told me, she said, this is your love, this is your calling, because you light up when you're working with these children. And I work with everyone. I work with my neighbors' children, the children down the street. If I happen to see you, I get your name, I was like, oh, you need help with something, honey? So there I am. I'm always trying to build the children up, and I'm always teaching and educating.
So when you think about your 18 years in the profession, reflecting back, is there a teacher that you kind of pattern yourself or that you think, that's probably where my inspiration comes from?
Well, I don't have a person that I pattern myself after. What I do have is I had someone that had a belief in me, and that belief lit a spark, kind of like what I'm doing with the children now, lit a spark in me that I wanted to do the same thing.
So, what's your favorite part of teaching?
My favorite part of teaching is watching my children's eyes light up when they have learned something that they didn't think that they were going to learn, that they're having fun, that they're able to talk and have a conversation with each other, with myself, and share. I love it when they see Mrs. Green walking by and they're like, Miss Green, let me tell you what I know today. It's a beautiful thing, and that makes me feel so good inside.
So, Ms. Green, when you're walking by and everybody wants to say, Ms. Green, let me share with you what I've learned today. Tell me what this magic is that you happen when you visit Mrs. Davis's room.
We indeed see that excitement in children. Ms. Davis is a very firm but loving educator. She puts her all into it. One thing about her is that she's going to make sure she gets to the heart of learning with children. She's very data driven, and so with that being said, when you're entering her room, you're going to see her doing small group instruction. You're going to see her working with students. You're going to see her challenging students, and you're going to see students that are afraid to step out and really walk through those struggles, but you see her motivating them and pushing them and providing those incentives and those encouraging words that students need to make it through, especially with the content area. We have our fifth grade teacher team is departmentalized, and Ms. Davis is our math teacher, which we know is a huge struggle, but she pushes our kids and work in those small groups to get them to believe in themselves and get them motivated for learning.
So, Mrs. Green, with that said, describe her for us using 3 adjectives and share with us why you chose those 3.
Definitely, I would go with passionate. She's very passionate. She's very committed and driven to what she believes in, which goes into that passion. And she is not going to give up on those kids. And she owns it. And she puts all of her effort into her work. I would also go with dedicated because, again, she's going to stick with it to the end. I give her a little bit of that competitiveness with that dedication because that's a driving force for her, and in such a good way, but it keeps her dedicated and committed to the cause. And then lastly, leading to something that Ms. Davis shared earlier about someone believed in her, I would say she's a believer. She speaks life into our children. A lot of our children went into 5th grade, coming off of the year that the past couple of years we've had with a lot of, just anxiety, just uncertainties. And Ms. Davis worked with these students over the summer to lead them into 5th grade. And the kids that we probably would have been in our top tier of monitoring and counseling and extra support, she is that for them in the classroom.
So, Ms. Davis, passionate, dedicated, believer. What inspires you today to be that teacher with your students?
That's a very good question, and I have a very easy answer for you. What inspires me is my principal. She believes in me, but not only that, she doesn't just talk the talk, she walks the walk. If there needs to be a teacher in the classroom because we're shorthanded because of what's going on in the world today, she's in there teaching and still doing what people don't expect principals to be doing. So, and also she is a teacher. Every day she teaches me something new. She's always saying to me, Ms. Davis, think about it. I want you to think about how would you go about this? What is something that you can do? So she gives me that extra edge, that extra push, and she motivates. So in terms of inspiration, she is my walking inspiration, and I strive to be like her in so many ways.
In addition, let's ask this question. What are you most proud of this year?
I am most proud of my students. They are working so hard. You wouldn't believe where they're coming from because we were inside for a long time. They didn't have classes. They weren't around their peers, but they are so trying. They came with a deficit, let's be honest, but they are working through it like never before. Some of them are productively struggling, but now they're not afraid to ask for help. Now they're really searching to do better. They want to make me proud, and I'm like, no, I want you to make yourself proud. And in doing that, you're going to make us all proud. So, my students.
Mrs. Green, what makes Mrs. Davis the perfect candidate for this honor?
Because I think she embodies everything that we're looking for when we're talking about educating kids. Going back to the adjectives that I shared about Mrs. Davis, but you have to believe in children, and she is a true believer. And with that, kids will work for people. We know the saying is that if you respect them and you love them and you like them, they will give it back to you and try 10,000 times harder than before. But I think it's that belief that she has, believing that all children can learn, getting in there with kids and doing some of that small group instruction with them and pushing them to do and be their best makes her definitely, beyond the best candidate for a Teacher of the Year.
Mrs. Davis, your selection as the Teacher of the Year at Parkway automatically classifies you as the ambassador for education there. In that position, we expect for you to have a message, and we expect for you to be able to share that message with people that may visit the school, anywhere that you have an opportunity to talk about our awesome profession and what we do. Share with us your message.
My message is short and sweet. You have to believe in children. You have to show them that you believe in them, and they have to feel it. So it's how you present yourself. It's how you talk to your student. It's how you show who you are. Education is important. It is vital. And the children need to understand that. And if you believe in them, they can sense these things. And they will know. So that would be my message, to be a believer. Do not ever give up on children. Because they don't come to us as empty vessels. They come with something. Some of them are more filled than others. But likewise, they still don't come empty. And it's our job to fill them up. But before you can do that, you have to let them know there's somebody in your corner. There's somebody that believes in you, and you can make it. You can be successful.
I would like to share with you the words of Henry Adams when he said, "A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops." Thank you for also being an influencer of those beautiful, bright minds that you work with at Parkway Elementary School. Mrs. Green, thank you for sharing Ms. Davis with us. Mrs. Davis, congratulations on your selection as Teacher of the Year at Parkway, and it is indeed our pleasure and our honor and our privilege to honor you.
Thank you.
Sweetheart, think about your future. Jeff over there didn't just look at him. He saved up, bought a house. He's got a beautiful wife. They even had a fancy pants destination wedding, and oh, they had a baby! Ah! Smart and handsome, ooh la la. Now, I've been saving these frames for pictures of my future grandbabies for years, and the shopping sprees on organic clothing and telephone cases is not helping you save for a family. Oh, gracious! Look at that! He's a model! Oh. I bet you he's putting all that money right into a 401k or his baby's college fund. And his teeth are so straight. See how good saving can look at feedthepig.org. Feed the pig.
As we come to the end of this program, I'm reminded of the words of Aristotle when he said, "Teaching is the highest form of understanding." And then Henry Adams told us that a teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence will stop. And that's why we take time each year to present this program. This program allows us the opportunity to share with each of you some extraordinary men and women whose timeless wisdom echoes the strength, character, and passions of educators all across our district and our nation. This program is, in our small way, the opportunity to say thank you. Thank you for being such wonderful teachers, role models, and caring people. Thank you for the work you do every day to make the world a better place by the lives you touch. You understand that the future of the world is in your classroom each day, a future with the potential for good and for bad. Several future presidents are learning from you each day. So are the great writers of the next decade. And so are the so-called ordinary people who will make the decisions in a democracy. Thank you, teachers. Thank you for the work that you do every day. We are better because of you.